Lots to talk about. Prime Minister right now speaking at the National Farmers Union conference, obviously saying he's going to be by the farmers' side. And he's also promising extra funding for British farmers to help them deal with tech, to basically avoid having to rely on cheap foreign labour. Do you welcome this? Do you believe that he is by farmers' side? There's been a lot of recognition with these, well, certainly since we've actually got him on the screen right now in the background there, giving his speech. Whether he's going to get a good reaction, we don't know. Environment Secretary previously, Trace Coffey, basically got booed, so we'll see how that goes. But we've had a lot of, I suppose, more focus on farmers and what they do, given what happened with lockdown and supply issues, people becoming more aware. We've also got a lot of, the farmers pointing out that their costs aren't covered by the sort of prices they're being paid at the supermarket, but also this sort of rising up against a lot of the net zero nonsense, which is basically putting farmers out of business by stopping them using fertiliser and things in the EU and in the UK. We've seen these big protests in Brussels, in Germany, in France. I mean, France, they surrounded Paris, for goodness sake. Haven't seen anything on that scale here in the UK. Do you think he's just trying to sort of fend off that sort of reaction?
Maybe. I mean, that's one thing that's been interesting, which is the fact that, not least because of how punishing the EU's policies are and how those filter through to national governments, you've seen a much stronger backlash to a lot of the conditions that farmers are having to put up with. We haven't seen the same here, although we're starting to see it in Wales with some of the policies which are being imposed from on high there. I think Rishi Sunak's interesting because, on the one hand, he gets what the issues are of the day.
And he's an MP for a rural
constituency,
seat.
exactly. He gets what the issues are of the day, and he understands what that there's a statement that needs to be made. But often, what is produced is very thin gruel. You see that on any kind of issue he picks up. He understands that he's got to stop the votes, but he doesn't really stop them. He understands that he needs to do something about these punishing green measures, but he kind of just retreats on them very mildly.
Trans, we shouldn't be happening, but
exactly.
maybe
we'll have some guidance at some point in the next 20 years. So, and similarly with the farmers thing, he's essentially making this big statement to announce money that was already announced. So it's very him.
I mean, there was a big concern after leaving the EU that farmers basically got a lot of money from the CAP, the Common Agricultural Policy, which was basically set up basically to help French farmers. That was kind of the reason why. But there was concern that they wouldn't get as much. But then if you're not paying so much into the EU long term, those subsidies can be given. Now, farming should be self-sustaining, but it clearly isn't because of various government policies. But he has it in the last few moments. He has announced this £427 million in grants, almost £500 million this year for farmers, including a doubling of the amount going to technology and innovation schemes to tackle the foreign workers issue. He's also saying we're increasing payments in our farming schemes by an average of 10%. And he says, thanks to you, to the farmers, we enjoy good quality food all year round. Global events, including Russia's invasion of Ukraine, have put food security back at the top of the agenda. We'll never take our food security for granted. And that was the extraordinary thing, wasn't it, when we suddenly realised, I mean, I remember covering, doing history A-level and talking about Ukraine as the breadbasket of Europe. It really is. The amount of grain that comes out there. Also, sunflower oil, again, a crucial ingredient in an awful lot of goods. And fertiliser, one of the main exporters of fertiliser. Again, you need that, the cost of that, and the energy cost impact as well on our food supplies, and the ability to get things through, the Suez Canal, the Red Sea, with Houthi rebels firing on shipping. You suddenly become so much more aware of how much we need to have not just energy security, but military security, security in our ability to produce things like steel, but also food, so we can actually live. I mean, it seems to me that governments, both politicians and civil servants, have really lost track of the basics. They're so busy with their identity politics and their, I don't know, their passive aggression, issues with our HR, that they've forgotten the basic job. We need to secure our borders. We need to secure our food. We need to secure our energy. We need to, have law and order. Some really basic stuff is being forgotten.
Absolutely, and I think there's also just like a tremendous sort of presentism. Like they thought that the sort of post-Cold War setup,
everything's fine,
would be like that forever. That it was the end of history, and therefore none of these kind of broader geopolitical issues, which have obviously constantly kind of shaped our history, were kind of a thing in the past. Or conflict will happen in a very kind of secure area over there that we don't really need to worry about. That's been completely changed. And it's not to say that every country needs to become some sort of autarky and you kind of completely, you grow all of your own food and you produce all of your own energy and all of this sort of stuff. It's just to say that obviously you need that capacity at home, you need that level of security, also, and you need, particularly in an era when things are becoming more and more unstable. These seem common sense, but for whatever reason they went by the wayside.
I don't think common sense happens in government anymore. I think we can safely say we've rolled that out a long time ago.